exhale. Take a deep breath in again. Hold it at the top and exhale. And as you continue a rhythm of breathing, inhaling for 3 to 4 seconds, holding it at the top, and then exhaling longer. Exhaling deeply, fully. Letting your body settle in. Relaxing. Opening heart and mind. Letting go of all distractions. Letting go of all responsibilities, all the things you are, to all the people in your lives. Just paying attention to your soul in this moment. Your beingness, your needs. In this moment, I invite you to think of your word for the year. Where are you on this journey with this word? Hold it in your heart, in your mind's eye. Think of it and appraise it with the eyes of the divine in you. Let yourself be with this word as you. What is this new level of expression with this word? What is your journey with it? Your journey as it. What is it calling you to? What is it revealing to you about yourself? So just relax with it, knowing that all that you need in relation to this word, to this new energy, will be revealed to you in perfect timing, in a perfect way that you will perfectly understand, that you will recognize and see and feel, that it will rise up within you gracefully. Calling you to discover a part of yourself you may not know yet. just relax. Be still and know that all is well. All is good because all is God. Relax in the knowingness that everything that you experience is God in action. That God is in and through and as all things. And you are held in love, supported in love, supported as love. And there is absolutely nothing to fear. There's absolutely nothing to fear. So be still and know this is what they mean by leaning on the everlasting arms. Like being held in the arms of a loved one and feeling that love in their closeness. That is what this life is. That is what the experience of God is. Each of us held individually and collectively. In a love greater than we can imagine. So now from this wellspring of love, let's sing our centering song, Spirit's Prayer. This is a reading from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. This is from his May 2nd reading. Several years ago, while doing a poetry reading in New York City, I encountered an angry young man who had just seen a woman mugged. He was so enraged, he wrote a poem on the spot. A pensive voice from across the room called out, "Yeah, it sure beats stopping the mugging." I felt like there was nothing left to say. The story points up, painfully, how living in our thoughts removes us from the very real journey of being alive. To always analyze and problem solve and observe and criticize what we encounter turns our brains into heavy calluses. Rather than opening us deeper into the mystery of living, the overtrained intellect becomes a buffer from experience. I have a dear friend who has studied almost all there is to study about the heart and the mind and its dance of psychology. This study led her to a very old sage whose last instructions were, "Live in your hands." Once open to this, my dear friend, knowing nothing about stonework, found herself building a stone chapel in the side of a hill. In doing so, she consecrated the chapel that had been waiting in her heart. I have another friend who, whenever she sees flowers, must gently touch them. I've watched her countless times finger yellow petals. She needs to touch the beauty, and when she does, I can see the beauty touch her. Then something in her opens a little further. To live in our hands humbles our mind into accepting something other than itself. It is how we heal each other and ourselves. We come alive through the braille of the heart.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know, right? It's good to have the sing-along part, though. I think we sing it better this song. It's kind of hard. Good morning, everyone. Today's inspirational moment is from Emily Cady, our one and only Unity expert, along with the Fillmores, of course, but this is from her book, Lessons in Truth, and it's from the very first lesson of the book. It's entitled Wellspring. Each person must sooner or later learn to stand alone with their God. Nothing else avails. Nothing else will ever make you master of your own destiny. There is in your own indwelling Lord all the life and health, all the strength, peace and joy, all the wisdom and support that you could ever need or desire. No one can give to you as can the indwelling Father. He is the spring of all joy and comfort and power. Hitherto, we have believed that we were helped and comforted by others, that we received joy from outside circumstances and surroundings. But it is not so. All joy and strength and good spring up from a fountain within one's own being. And if we only knew this truth, we should know that because God is in us is the fountain out of which all springs, all our good. Nothing that anyone does or says or fails to say or do can take away our joy and our good. And now we repeat our affirmation 3 times. All the strength, peace, joy, wisdom, and support I can ever need or desire is within me. All the strength, peace, joy, wisdom, and support I ever need or desire is within me. All the strength, peace, joy, wisdom, and support I can ever need or desire is within me.
Life is this, like I said in the opening prayer, this it's a phenomenon, an experience, something more than just our day-to-day stuff, the list of things to do. And I know as I have opened my understanding of God, sometimes by force, because stuff happened and it opened my eyes, or it forced me into a place where I couldn't continue to contemplate life and God as I currently did, and so God expanded involuntarily, which is not a bad thing. As long as we stay open, as long as we stay curious, then wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things can happen. A friend of mine, very special friend of mine, she is shepherding her husband through his last days. He's been in hospice now for, this is maybe week 3. And so she's been very much on my heart, in and out of things to do and things happening in my days. So she really came up for me this morning, and I texted her and just said, I'm still holding you in my heart. And she texted back and she said, thank you. And she said, somehow he's still here, but there's so very little of him left. And she said, my heart is breaking again and again. And I could, in that reply, I could feel her heart breaking. And yet at the same time, I felt God like all over me and all over her and all over him, and knowing how much they love each other, and probably having just a scintilla of what that might feel like to usher a loved one home. I mean, I've ushered my parents home and a friend or two, but not my, beloved, not my spouse. And I'm sure that's a whole different experience. I spent the day yesterday with two very good friends of mine who are like sisters. We've been friends close to 20 years, and we have been through life's experience with each other, through death of a spouse and illnesses and divorces and friends leaving and friends coming on and buying and selling houses and all kinds of things. And we do things like go to the theater and go on vacations together. And yesterday we've decided now we're going to help each other with home projects. So we were at one friend's house yesterday cleaning off her back patio and moving, sweeping and dusting and running from big lizards and stuff like that. I've seen some lizards in my yard. We saw some lizards yesterday in a wood pile of hers. I thought, is that a Gila monster? Like, what the heck? That thing looks poisonous. And then the second one came up, and I thought, oh, we got a family here. So in between all of that and redecorating her back patio, and her spouse passed away a couple of years ago, and we shepherded her through that. So this cleaning of her patio was not just cleaning of a patio. This was stepping forward into a new level of expression without her beloved. Finding, how do I now live in this house as just me? That's what that experience was for her. So we watched her go through all of that, and through the laughter and a tear or two and things like that, we got that done and had meals together. And it was just a lovely, lovely, lovely experience. I'm supporting someone who's had a cancer diagnosis and is coming up on surgery. And in the few weeks that we've been working together, she's moved from abject fear to now just loving life as it is and enjoying moments watching the clouds and opening her heart to people, because she's like me. I very much see myself in her because she is staunchly independent. And so being in this situation now and involuntarily having her heart opened up and letting people in to help and to serve her is a new experience. And so watching her open up has just been an amazing experience. So an exchange with her this morning through text was just heart-opening, to hear her say certain things and to affirm certain things and to say, oh my God, I love that you support me. This is just wonderful to have you by my side. Knowing that that door was closed to most people, let alone somebody she didn't really know a couple of weeks ago. So this life, like Mark Nepo was saying in that reading, this if we come out and we're living in our hands, with our hands, in experience, and allowing God to be this living, breathing experience rather than this thing we pray to. And I say thing because God, for most of us, is very much this entity, this thing that we name but don't really know. I didn't know God in the biblical sense. I didn't know God always. I knew of God. I heard about God. I read about God. There was God. And I knew there was God somewhere, and it was always like, up in heaven. Up where? I don't know. In the ceiling, on the roof, 30 miles up, I don't know. With the space station, is he on the space shuttle? I don't know. Where is heaven? Is there longitude and latitude somewhere where heaven begins and ends? I don't know, but there was always God, and God was just somewhere. Somewhere. And yet, if we're living in and with our hands, so to speak, and I think there's different ways of articulating that, and none of it I don't know that there are words for it. There's just experience of it, and you know it when you hit it. You know it when you hit it. So my friend who's shepherding her husband into a new level of expression is hitting it in a different way. She's living God in a way she never has before. This young woman with this cancer diagnosis is living God, is experiencing God, is seeing God as something different, whereas before, and she and I have talked about God was something, again, somewhere else. And God has become very real for her now. Real, an experience. God now is in those clouds she watches outside her window. In the bird song she hears, things she really wasn't paying attention to or did not equate that with God. So God was always there in the clouds and in the bird song. God was always in those breaths leading up to the last breath. But we don't know it or see it until all of a sudden we're broken open and we get to live it and feel it. Get to live it and feel it. And that just takes, I think, because for me it was really just about breaking open and being willing to see God in whatever's transpiring. Whatever's transpiring. So in the moments when we're running from the reptilian monsters yesterday, God was in that laughter and in our laughing at and with each other in that experience, and being able to have that as a memory that the three of us will share probably forever. I know, as someone dealing with a diagnosis, that at moments there is God in the reckoning of that and dealing with the, do I have fear in this moment or do I not? And when the fear comes up, what do I do with it? And in the feeling the fear, knowing that there's still God crackling in with the fear that's kind of raising the hair on the back of my neck and making me think, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. This isn't working, this isn't working. And in the next moment knowing that yes, it is working, that everything that I affirm, that everything that I'm feeling, that everything that I know about God and about life is coursing through my veins. And knowing that that too is God. Because it could just be that I'm just sitting there in fear, quaking in my boots, and then all of a sudden I feel better. Or that could just be God in action. God in action. And so are we willing, are you, and I ask this of myself, am I willing to see God everywhere? Am I willing to feel God? Am I willing to be fully God? Am I willing to feel God fully? And I know, because I was there once, especially when I started hearing in Unity about the Christ self. And what does that mean to be in the Christ self? And because I automatically thought, what am I going to have to give up? Is life going to be less fun? Can I still be irreverent in my jokes? Do I have to stop hanging out with my snarky friend who, when we go someplace and we find something funny and something that's not funny and we're sitting giggling in the audience about something, and I can't look at her and she can't look at me because we're still cracking up about something and we need to behave ourselves. Do I have to give up the snarky friend? Please, God, no. Because I'm the snarky friend too. So, just saying. What else do we have to give up? I mean, do you wonder, or if you're single, do I have to give up sex, or can I have sex but I can't enjoy it? You know, so it's there, but you're like, oh, okay, this is all right. You can't be there fully, so you can't be passionate, or you can't be whatever it is. And, you know, I remember once my mother and I had this really odd conversation. At the moment, I thought, am I really having this conversation with my mother? And I had to say, Mom, God created sex? Like, what? Yeah, so I don't understand what the problem was. And, I think it was a whole conversation about menopause. Anyway. And you know, many of you have had these conversations with a parent, and you think, am I really here having this conversation? Like, ew, I don't want to do this. God is in there too. God is in there also. And that's just, again, change of life. And are we willing to be open to that and do that, or do we close off? Because I didn't have to have that conversation with her. I just could have said, okay, Mom, handle that. I'm out of here, okay? We don't do that kind of thing. We don't have those kind of talks, and we didn't. That's why in that moment I kind of went, but because when I was young, we didn't talk about, the sex thing didn't come up, ever. We didn't talk about that. It was always embarrassing. So if we're all watching a movie together as a family, and then there's a love scene or something like that, we all pretended it wasn't happening. And you really couldn't look at the screen anymore. You had to look around, and suddenly somebody's coughing, or somebody's got to go to the bathroom, or something like that. It was so crazy. And so to be able to have a conversation with my mother 40, 50 years later about sex was just incredible. But now I can enjoy it, and I laughed at it. She and I laughed at it. She was embarrassed, and I was embarrassed, and then we laughed at our embarrassment. But yet, that was life, living with our hands, I believe, because we could have cut that off and not had that experience together. And yet, it was, here I am laughing at it now and enjoying that. And I think that's part of this life and living, and what can you be? This is probably all blasphemous. I don't know, because now I'm taking this to Scripture. Like, what is that place? I know YouTube is going to cancel this. It's like, I don't know. So this is from John chapter 15 about the vine and the branches. I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you're like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. So it's all about joy and love. All about joy and love. And I love that he says that my joy may be in you. The joy of God be in you. And so I think if we run towards joy, no matter what it is, God is there. And the more we run towards joy, the more these other things in life, the last breaths with a loved one, the dealing with the fear around a diagnosis, learning a new expression of life after your loved one has passed years, or after a divorce or the end of a relationship, and then finding your new life, your new path fully in joy is what we're called to. Unapologetically. And so if that is found in the arms of a loved one in abject passion, yes, God is there. Yes, God is there. Joining the two of you in this dance. I hadn't thought of this in a long time, but in one of the books in Conversations with God, God is describing what sexual union is. And it's the most beautiful thing ever, because he says it's so much more than a physical union. That there is a mingling and a dance of energies and love and joy that is amazing. And so one of the questions God poses to Neale Donald Walsch in this conversation is, he says, I don't understand. Well, I don't think that's my words, because I'm paraphrasing here. God is saying, I don't know why you use curse words to describe that beautiful phenomenon, when it is such a precious, treasured experience. And I am in that mix of love. And so treat each other with love and respect and kindness and awe and magnificence in that act. It's described over like 3 or 4 pages. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous description. And I think, oh my gosh, that is God in the mix. And yet we've created, as human beings, we've created this shame around the human body and this act of love. It's incredible what we do, how we bastardize something, so many things in life that are beautiful. And if everything in life is God and expressing as God, and if each of us is God expressing as God, the things we do to each other, things we say about each other, things we do and say about ourselves are indeed blasphemy. Those negative things that you say about you, the negative things I've said about myself, the negative thoughts I've had about myself, all of it blasphemy, because we are these magnificent divine beings expressing here as the divine, the hands and feet of God at work. That's why I love how Mark Nepo says that we live in our hands. Live with our hands. Live in the experience. Be that, and be it fully all the time. In everything. In the cleaning of the patio. In the ushering someone towards their last breath. Holding them. Holding yourself in that moment. In the going to the grocery store. Picking out the food that you want to eat. Having a wonderful meal and cherishing every bite. I have another friend who, in the midst of something, and doctors can't figure out why, she has lost her sense of smell and taste. And has not smelled or tasted anything in a year. Can you imagine that? Yeah. And so she is now starting to blog about this because she has no idea how long this is going to last. Doctors don't even know what happens, so they don't even know what to do for her. She's just living with this now. And so she goes out to dinner. She just went out, celebrated her birthday with her husband, and they went to this wonderful Italian restaurant. And she said, all I knew was texture of the food. So I couldn't taste it. I didn't know. And it's amazing what the feelings that has brought up for her. How she's now trying to find a new richness in life that has nothing to do with food. Do you know how primal food is in tasting? Think of how much you think about a meal or enjoy food. Like, what if you couldn't taste chocolate again? Oh, look at it. Oh, God. That was like the day I said, what if you had to be without your cell phones? And all of you went, there was a collective gasp. All of you had that horrified look on your faces. What if you couldn't taste chocolate? Yeah. And then having defined, experienced the richness of life some other way. Could you do that? Would you do that? Or would you just be mad? She was mad for a while. And every time she went to another doctor who couldn't give her a reason or a resolution, she was mad again. In fact, the last doctor's visit, which is probably doctor number 4, she said she cried. So where do we find this thing? And for me, the only thing is God. Because that's the only thing for me that lasts. The only thing that has been constant. Everything else can go away. Everything else can blow up in an instant. Some things die slowly. But God is the constant. God is this, I am the vine, you are the branches. I am a life that flows through you and as you. I gave you life that you may have joy and have it to the full. Oh my gosh. So what are you doing with God in your life? Are you doing anything with God in your life? Is God just something you read about, talk about? What is it? Is God still up there swirling around somewhere in the cosmos? Is God something you think about occasionally during the week? Or, do you only think about God when you come here and I talk about him? Him, her, it, them. The all there is. And that's okay if that's where you are, and that's okay. But know that's where you are and ask yourself, is this enough? Is this enough? Because the promise is, seek ye first the kingdom, and everything shall be added unto you. If you remain in my love, and I don't believe we can be separated from that love, it just means if you open your eyes to the love that is, open up to the experience that I am, open up to the fact that I am here in everything, as everything, your joy will be complete. Your joy will be complete. What would it feel like to wake up or walk through your day and have a moment where you say, my joy is complete? Man, I'm feeling it. Joy all over me. I didn't think I could feel joy running from a big fat lizard. But when you're running with the right people, in the right backyard on the right spring day, or well, it's not spring yet, sun shining, breeze blowing, having a good time with two of the most special people in my life. There was joy in that, running from the Godzilla. What are you doing with your life? What are you doing with God, if anything? What are you doing with God? And if you want to keep God in a little compartment, your life will probably be another compartment. And I'll end with this, another reading from Mark Nepo. He just has the most beautiful poetic ways of saying some things. For years I have lived this way, turning the side of me to others that they could understand, spinning the aspects of my true self like a lazy Susan, offering only what others wanted or needed or felt most comfortable with. I became very good at this, could spin in a crowd of loved ones, accommodating many needs at once. I came to believe that I was being selfless, an agile listener, reliable and giving. I thought I had found a way to be both who I am and considerate. What I didn't realize was that more and more of who I truly am was being hidden, and that showing only the part of me that others found acceptable was not being true to myself. Over time, I became a spy with my deepest feelings and beliefs. The cost eventually was a subtle but ever-present spiritual suffocation. No one asked me to do this. Certainly, I have had wounds in my history that conditioned me to hide myself at times, but it was my misperception of how to negotiate the world that made an art form of changing faces, even though all the faces unto themselves were true. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of not being loved, fear of showing what I believed no one else could possibly understand, a lack of trust and faith that the flower inside me could survive the elements out here. All this stayed under dress for years while I spun my lazy Mark self. As we live it, the line between privacy and hiddenness is very thin indeed. I have learned, painfully and thoroughly, that each of us is an entire symphony. And though there are times when all of us will not be heard, dis-ease begins the moment all of us is not played. Let's take this into meditation. That was September 17. So let's take a deep breath. I am the vine, and you are the branches. You are the song, I am the symphony. But part of you is not being played. What are you keeping hidden or tamped down or restrained because you're afraid of rejection, afraid of ridicule, afraid of not being accepted, afraid of not recognizing yourself anymore, afraid of being ungodly, afraid of judgment, criticism, afraid of what it might look like, afraid of being silly, afraid of what your beloved might not recognize as you because you've never shown that side of you. What is it? In what areas are you not fully living? What have you not said? What have you not felt? What thing have you not begun? Because you're afraid of it. You're living on a lazy Susan, showing only a part of yourself. Are you showing only parts of yourself, thinking you are making others comfortable when you were the one who was uncomfortable? Why are you not shining fully, brilliantly? What are you afraid to take on or let go of? Because it's just unknown. Can you love and be loved boldly. Shout for joy. Cry out in passion. Can you show your grief without shame? Can you open yourself to experiences you've never had, but walk into them with your arms open wide and your mind open to what could possibly be and what you could possibly be in the moment? What if you expanded rather than contracted? What if you were less buttoned up, metaphorically or actually? What if you wore the bold outfit, even though it seemed age inappropriate? What if you sang out loud in the store? What if you opened your arms for a hug, rather than holding your arms tightly around yourself, afraid of being loved? What if you asked for the raise, knowing that you deserve it, that you worked for it, you earned it? And if they said no, walk away, knowing that what you truly want and deserve is waiting for you out there. What if taking a risk for love after years of being alone? Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply, knowing that life is deep and rich, that the joy that is God, that is the divine, lives within us and is waiting for expression, waiting for you to open your arms to it and feel it and enjoy it and exclaim it to the world in your way, in your voice, with your unique energy and passion. God force is infinite, and we are that force. In being fully our God selves, we give permission to others to be fully their God selves. And humanity heals, and Mother Earth sings and rejoices as we sing and rejoice in our hearts. Just take a deep breath and exhale. Inhale, breathing in life and love, and exhale. Think of your word, bring it now to mind again, bring it back to your heart. How can you live that energy more boldly, more audaciously, more expansively? Be that more brilliantly in the world for yourself and shine a light for others. Have the courage to ask. Have the courage when you hear the answer from the divine within you to do that thing. So we say yes and thank you for the promise of joy and love and peace, for the divine flow of energy that moves through us, sustains us, vitalizes us, inspires us, holds us, contains us. Pulls us forward. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.